Ingrid stood in her modest Northside Chicago kitchen, hands still dusted with flour from kneading bread. The table was set neatly, the aroma of roasted chicken and simmering vegetables curling through the apartment like a warm embrace. But something felt off. Peter wasn't home yet. She tried to shake the unease, telling herself he was just running late, but a mother's instincts rarely lie. Her eyes flicked to the clock again, each tick tightening the pit in her stomach. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. Expecting a text from Peter, she grabbed it, but it wasn't him. It was a photo. Her stomach dropped. There he was, in Taylor's arms, laughing as if the world belonged to them both. Her hands shook as she opened the next message. "Don't come looking for me. I only took what's mine. Goodbye." The floor seemed to vanish beneath her. She grabbed the nearest chair for support. "He's really gone," she whispered, her voice trembling at the sound of it. A scream of rage clawed at her throat, raw and unrestrained. But she swallowed it. She couldn't cry. Not yet. A soft knock at the door pulled her from the haze. Her childhood friend Maggie stood there, worry etched into every line of her face. "Ingrid, what's wrong?" "You're shaking," Maggie said, her voice tight with concern. Ingrid opened the door, pale and trembling. It's Peter," she choked out. "He took everything. The money, the savings, our future. He left me with the kids and ran off with Taylor." Her voice broke, each word slicing the air like shards of glass. She sank onto the couch, staring at the ceiling as if the answers were hidden in the plaster. Maggie knelt beside her, gripping her hands. "He's a coward, Ingrid. Weak. But you're strong. Stronger than you know." Tears spilled over, mingling with anger, disbelief, and helplessness. "How am I supposed to do this alone? Take care of the kids?" "I have nothing, Maggie, nothing." The soft patter of little feet came from the hallway. "Mom, we're hungry," Samuel called, oblivious to the storm that had just shattered their lives. Ingrid swallowed her grief, wiped her cheeks on her sleeve, and bent down to meet her children's wide, trusting eyes. "It's okay, my loves. Dinner will be ready soon. You don't have to worry about anything, okay?" Her voice was steadier than she felt. Maggie watched quietly, a mix of sorrow and admiration in her gaze. Even in despair, Ingrid's determination flickered to life. Nothing Peter had done, no betrayal, no theft, would break her. Not yet. The next day, her phone rang again. This time it was the bank. The voice on the line was cold and precise. "Mrs. Ingrid, your account has been completely emptied. A large transfer occurred yesterday afternoon. We need you to come in to verify the details. If this wasn't authorized by you, we will report it to the authorities." Ingrid's eyes widened. Peter hadn't just abandoned her emotionally, he'd taken everything. The nest egg they had painstakingly saved for years. Her world was crumbling, yet despair had no room. She had to stay standing for Samuel and Sarah. At the bank, the manager led her to a small office, his expression cautious. "Mrs. Ingrid, we found documents signed with your name," he said. "A declaration giving Peter full authority over your account. We need you to confirm this." Her stomach twisted. She insisted she'd never signed anything. When they played the security footage, her heart sank further. There they were, Peter and Taylor, casually taking what wasn't theirs, smiles frozen on their faces like trophies. The next morning, laughter drifted from Sarah and Samuel's room. For a fleeting moment, the apartment felt normal again. But reality crashed back. The man she loved was gone, the money gone. The life they'd built vanished like smoke through her fingers. The weight pressed on her chest, heavy and unrelenting. But as she watched her children play, oblivious to the betrayal, a spark ignited. Those innocent eyes depended on her. There was no room for weakness. She rose, letting the pain sharpen her focus instead of drowning her. She called Maggie, who arrived quickly, stepping through the doorway like a lifeline. "Maggie, I need your help. I don't know how I'll do this, but I can't, and I won't let the kids pay for Peter's mistakes," Ingrid said, her voice firm with determination. Maggie smiled, resting a hand on her friend's shoulder. "You've already started, Ingrid. Look at you, still standing, still fighting. It's not easy, but you're going to make it. And I'll be right here with you." A soft whimper drew their attention. Sarah ran into Ingrid's arms, clutching a crayon-scribbled picture. "Look, Mom. I made this for you." It was chaotic, messy, colorful, but unmistakably Ingrid, wearing a superhero cape. Ingrid's chest tightened. She held the drawing like a shield. "Thank you, my love. This is exactly what I needed." Later, she went to the corner market. John, the longtime neighbor and shop owner, gave her a knowing look. "Ingrid, I heard what happened. If you need anything at all, the account's open for you," he said gently. Ingrid hesitated, pride warring with necessity, then managed a small, grateful smile. "Thank you, John. I'll pay. Just need a little time." Slow victories began to accumulate. Ingrid discovered strength she hadn't known existed. She found work as a seamstress, stitching late into the night after Samuel and Sarah were asleep. "Mom, why are you always so tired?" Samuel asked one evening, worry furrowing his small brow. Ingrid brushed back his hair and smiled tiredly. "Because I'm building something, my son. I'm taking care of you and Sarah. Everything I do now is for you." She paused, searching for the right words. Sometimes life gives us challenges that seem too big. But you know what we do, right? "What, Mom?" "We take each piece of difficulty and turn it into something strong, something good." Days melted into weeks. Ingrid, once thought broken, displayed quiet resilience. Nights still brought tears, silent and private, but each morning she rose, wiped her face, and began again. One evening, Maggie arrived with news. "I heard Peter's in trouble. Seems he's not doing as well as he thought." Ingrid paused, squinting, emotions mingling. "Trouble? What do you mean?" "Taylor left him penniless. Now he's about to be arrested." Ingrid stayed silent for a long moment, letting the irony and relief wash over her. A cruel chapter had closed. A new one, hers to write, was beginning. He made his choices. Now it's my turn. As Peter's world crumbled, Ingrid's life was only beginning to rebuild, not for revenge, but for love. The love for her children, the unshakable force that guided her through chaos. Peter Reynolds slouched on the worn leather couch of his small, cramped apartment, a place that had never felt luxurious, the far cry from the life he and Taylor had once dreamed of together. Silence pressed against him from every wall, heavy and suffocating. Taylor had been gone for 2 days, vanished without a word, leaving no trace. His phone buzzed relentlessly with messages from the bank, but he ignored them, unwilling to face the void that had grown around him. The apartment felt smaller by the minute, the walls inching closer as if to trap him. He rose abruptly, flinging an empty glass against the wall. "Where the hell?" he shouted, but only the echo answered. The woman for whom he had risked everything, betraying his family, abandoning his children, was simply gone. A cold, crushing weight settled in his chest. Regret, unfamiliar and unwelcome, crept in. "Wasn't I better than Ingrid?" He murmured bitterly, memories of her flooding his mind, her quiet patience, the way she always knew how to soothe the kids, her unwavering love. All that he had traded for an empty dream. He sank back onto the couch, staring blankly at the ceiling. "What have I done?" he whispered, fragile, almost like a confession to the room itself. The apartment door swung open. Taylor appeared, dragging a suitcase. She didn't look at him as she moved toward the bedroom. "Taylor, where have you been?" Peter demanded, a mix of fear and frustration in his voice. "I'm leaving Peter." "This is over," she said, cold and distant, unrecognizable. "It's over? What do you mean?" "We built this together," he shouted, stepping forward to grab her arm. She recoiled as if his touch burned her. Taylor laughed, sharp and cutting. "You built a prison for yourself, Peter. I only did what was best for me. You think I'd stay here while everything fell apart? The money's gone, and you're just another ruined man. In every way." Her words hit like a hammer. It was all about the money? He thought. Her gaze never wavered. "Yes," she said. "Always has been. And now there's nothing left for me." She swung her suitcase and left, leaving him alone in the emptiness. The silence that followed was heavier than ever. Peter collapsed to the floor, burying his face in his hands. For the first time, He truly felt the weight of his choices. Regret crashed over him like a tidal wave. What have I done? Gotta, what have I done? Memories of Ingrid and the children swirled relentlessly, impossible to escape. What he had discarded was everything he had ever wanted. Days blurred into a haze of anxiety and despair. Peter sifted through scattered papers, trying to piece together his finances, when two men in suits appeared at the door. "Mr. Peter Reynolds?" one asked, voice formal. "Yes, that's me. How can I help you?" Peter's voice trembled. The man flashed a badge. "Police. We're here regarding bank fraud and document forgery. You're coming with us to clarify some matters." Peter's heart raced. This is a mistake. I haven't done anything wrong. But the steely resolve in their eyes left no room for escape. The evidence was damning. "Please place your hands behind your back. You're under arrest." The cuffs snapped around his wrists, cold and unyielding. As he was led away, Peter cast one last glance at the apartment he had tried to make a home. Everything he had traded for a life with Taylor had turned to dust. In the back of the police car, one thought haunted him: Ingrid. What have I done to you? Years later, Ingrid stood in her office atop a gleaming Chicago skyscraper, sunlight spilling across the room, illuminating the woman she had become. A far cry from the woman who once cried on her kitchen floor, abandoned and broken by Peter. The uncertain future she had feared was now a reality she had carved with her own hands. She didn't dwell on the past. Her focus was on what lay ahead, on what she could still build. Her phone buzzed. "Maggie." "Ingrid, you won't believe it. I just saw the final sales report. We're about to close the best quarter in company history." Ingrid allowed herself a controlled, confident smile. "Then all the effort was worth it. You built this from scratch, Ingrid." "You did what no one thought possible," Maggie said, awe in her voice. "You're an inspiration to all of us." "I just did what had to be done, Maggie," Ingrid replied, though inside she felt the full weight of her friend's praise. It had never been about herself. Every late night, every sacrifice had been for Samuel and Sarah, who now grew up surrounded by love, stability, and opportunity. They were the reason for everything. Later, she descended to the first floor for a morning meeting. Employees greeted her with respect and admiration, a stark contrast to the fear and despair that had once shadowed her life. Passing the reception, a new employee hesitated, eyes wide. "Ma'am, it's an honor to work here. You're a true inspiration," the young woman said. Ingrid paused, smiling gently. "Thank you. But remember, no one achieves anything alone. This was built through collective effort. I'm just one piece of the puzzle." The meeting was a success, as were so many others she now led with steady confidence. But the highlight of her day came later, when she was invited to speak at a local school. The principal, familiar with her story, introduced her as a model of perseverance. "Many mothers in our community look to you with hope, Ingrid. You faced the impossible and won." Standing before a room of young women and mothers, Ingrid shared her journey, not with bitterness, but with pride. "When I had nothing left, the only thing I held on to was hope. That was enough. Every day was a battle. I would ask myself if I could even get out of bed the next morning. But every time I looked at my children, I knew I had to keep going. That's what brought me here." A mother in the audience raised her hand, tears welling. "But how did you do it, Ingrid? How did you overcome so much pain and still become this strong woman?" Ingrid paused, letting the words sink in. "Pain, no matter how overwhelming, can be transformed. I didn't want my children to see me defeated. Over time, I realized I was stronger than I imagined. I had support from friends, from people who believed in me, and I believed in myself, even when everything seemed to crumble." That was the key. After the talk, Maggie met her in the hallway, visibly moved. "Ingrid, do you realize the impact you had? Every word of yours, hope for all those women." Ingrid shook her head, modest but resolute. "I just wanted them to know it's possible, no matter how much the world seems against you." That night, as Ingrid read to Sarah and Samuel in their cozy Chicago apartment, a profound sense of peace settled over her. The city lights outside cast warm, shifting patterns across the living room walls, and the quiet hum of the neighborhood felt protective, almost tender. This peace wasn't about career success or accolades. It was deeper than that. The certainty that she had done the right thing. Despite the betrayal, the financial ruin, and the sleepless nights, she had built a new world for her children. Not a world of wealth or prestige, but of love, resilience, and unwavering strength. Miles away, Peter Reynolds sat alone in the gray isolation of his prison cell. Cold, unyielding walls pressed in from every side, closing him off from the life he had squandered. His hands trembled as they rested on the rough concrete floor, his mind a storm of regret. Time had lost all meaning. Days blurred into nights, nights into weeks. How long had he been here? Days? Months? Years? He couldn't tell. Every second, the consequences of his choices gnawed at him, relentless and unforgiving. "I just wanted a better life," he whispered, barely audible, a breath swallowed by the echoing emptiness. No one responded. Taylor was gone, taking the money, the false promises, the illusions of luxury. He remained alone, crushed under the weight of his own decisions. The sharp clang of the steel door pulled him from his thoughts. A guard's stern voice announced, "You have a visitor, Peter." Peter's stomach twisted. Who could it be? Not Ingrid. He hadn't expected anyone. Their last encounter had been fleeting, a silent goodbye that haunted him still. In the visiting room, he froze. There she was, Ingrid, on the other side of the glass. Hair neatly tied back, clothes simple but elegant. Nothing like the woman he had left behind. No trembling hands, no haunted eyes. She radiated quiet power, the strength of someone who had survived everything he had thrown at her. He picked up the phone, handshaking. Voice brittle. I don't know where to start," Ingrid said softly. "You don't need to start," she replied confirm. "I ruined everything with you, with our children. I was a fool. Nothing I did can be undone," he admitted, guilt heavy in his words. "If I could go back, I'd do everything differently." Ingrid leaned slightly toward the glass, her expression measured, serene. "What you did, Peter, wasn't just against me. It was against our children. You abandoned them. You destroyed the family we built. And the thing that hurts the most," she paused, drawing a steadying breath, "is knowing I spent years loving someone who never cared about us." "I cared. I still care," he said, eyes closing as tears threatened. "I was blind, chasing a life I thought I deserved. But you had everything. You had a wife who loved you, children who adored you," Ingrid interrupted, voice unwavering. "You didn't need anything else. What you were looking for outside, it was already at home." He had no words. Her truth pressed down on him like a physical weight. Finally, he whispered, "And now, what do you want from me?" Ingrid paused before speaking. "I don't want anything from you, Peter. I only came to say one thing." She met his gaze, steady and firm. "I forgive you." The words hit harder than anything else could. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. Forgiveness, something he had never imagined receiving, something he felt he didn't deserve, hung between them like a fragile, luminous bridge. "Yes," Ingrid continued, calm and resolute, "not for you, but for me and for our children. I need to leave the past behind, and they need peace." Peter shook his head, disbelief etched in every line. "Ingrid, you're stronger than I ever was." I don't know how you do it." She smiled, soft, bittersweet. "Pain teaches us, Peter. It taught me to be stronger than I ever imagined. Now I move forward with my life, and you need to face the consequences of your choices." Without another word, she hung up and left the visiting room, leaving Peter with nothing but memories and regret. Head held high, Ingrid stepped into the crisp evening air. Waiting at the prison's entrance were Sarah and Samuel, eyes bright with anticipation. "Mom," Sarah cried, running into her arms. Ingrid knelt, embracing both children tightly. "It's okay now. Everything's okay," she whispered, smiling as they clung to her. She had chosen the harder path, one of forgiveness. And in doing so, she claimed her own peace. For some, forgiveness may seem weakness, but in truth, it is ultimate liberation. The power to release oneself from bitterness, from the chains of the past. On that quiet Chicago evening, Ingrid understood it fully. Resilience allows a person to move forward, stronger, wiser, and free. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments. I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.